So right now in sort of mid-July or approaching mid-July, a lot of the crop is starting to get to the blooming stage. At least the part of the crop that's sort of made its progress on a normal pattern. We've had some challenges here in southwest Oklahoma this year. A very dry, very hot, very windy start to the season. We're in a field right now that's drip irrigated cotton that was planted in the first half of May. And a lot of that cotton has had some challenges, but has come out pretty well. And this field is just starting in its bloom stage. It's probably been blooming for maybe a week or a little more. And that's kind of where we'd like to see cotton right now in Oklahoma.
I realized that with cotton it was kind of touch and go whenever it came to planting dates and everything. Kind of talk about what you've seen with the earlier planted varieties versus some of the ones that were later planted.
Yeah, so you know, the earlier planted varieties, we really didn't have a really good green light to say these conditions are perfect to plant. And that you know, in this area of the country, in the Southwest, it happens often. So some of this was planted into marginal conditions, but it turned out okay. We caught some rain in mid-May, and it really helped this cotton come up and turn the corner. Later cotton, particularly in May and even into early June, was planted into pretty good moisture. Right. Unfortunately, it was followed up by kind of the worst case scenario. So we went through a 2-week period of several days that were over 100 and winds that just dried that soil profile out, especially that seed bed. So a lot of the seed had enough moisture when we planted to sprout, to germinate. So germination wasn't a problem, it was emergence. So a lot of those fields were replanted, and they actually got some irrigation water here in the district turned on early. In other areas, obviously, if you have a pivot or another form of irrigation like drip, you can kind of help that out. But we had to water some cotton up, which is never really your ideal situation.
Talk about cotton production overall across the state. I mean, it's actually expanded this year.
Yes, it's expanded a lot, and you know, so I've focused a lot, I guess, so far on the southwest corner. As we move north and east, sort of the Carnegie, Fort Cobb area, Hydro area, there's some really good looking cotton up there. Even the dry land up there looks really good. And they haven't been necessarily wet, but they've caught enough rains to put that cotton in a good position. And then as we go further north into the state, you get, you know, a little more hit and miss. It's been a dry year overall for Oklahoma. And so dryland cotton as a whole has struggled, but we've got good pockets of it.
Moving forward, what are some of the things that producers need to be watching for, but also, you know, keep on the radar to be doing throughout the year?
So we're really getting close. You know, this field, you may almost think that we could be past the point of that last application we can make for weed control or you know, getting a ground rig in. So always be scouting for weeds this time of year, you know, get that one last shot on. This is an extremely clean field that we're in right now. But you know, obviously if you've got some escapes from some of your earlier applications, be watching that. Same thing with insects, again, be scouting. And then as we get into this stage, you know, squaring, so we're putting on flower buds or actually blooming and starting to set bowls, our water demand is gonna go up. And so we need to make sure that we're following that plant's demand curve with adequate irrigation if we are irrigated. Obviously, if we're dry land, then we're just up to whatever nature throws at us, and we just hope we catch a rain or two. But you know, cotton's definitely on a bell-shaped curve for water, and we're on the increase right now. And so we're gonna keep increasing that demand up to peak bloom, and then it's gonna start to fall off a little bit. And as much as we can match that water use curve without exceeding it or getting into a deficit, that's gonna really optimize not only our inputs, but optimize our yield.
Okay, thank you much, Seth Bird, Extension Cotton Specialist here at Oklahoma State University. And for more information about growing cotton in Oklahoma, check out our website, sunup.okstate.edu.